So I wanted to share a story, if we're all ready to hear it. As a father-daughter researcher, I talk to a lot of women, and one that comes to mind, in particular that I like to share, is this beautiful young lady. She's a chemist. Doing successful things, great things, beautiful young lady. And when I talked to her about her relationship with her father, and I sort of try to get people to kind of step back a few steps to when they were really small, remembering their father. And she talks about how he made pancakes for her in the morning, and he put bows in her heads. How many daddies do that, right? She had beautiful memories of her and her daddy when she was a little girl. So she was essentially a daddy's little girl. We all know about that, right? Okay. But then life kicked in. Mom and dad separated. And she went her way, and daddy went his. And Mama moved in with TT and grandma and cousins, and she moved in with everybody. She's telling me to bring my voice up, okay? Do I need to come up here a little bit?
Specifically, somebody said, tell Aunt Karen to speak up.
Hey, baby! Should I be over here?
Your mic
Okay.
is right there.
I'm gonna fix that for you though, because we can move that.
So y'all want to hear the rest of the story? All right. So, she moves in with, and a lot of us, we have that, when we're at that place in our life, we may have to move in with family support. So she moves in with TT, she moves in with her mother and grandmother. And what happened for this young girl over time, she said she started to hear her aunt and her grandmother and her mother just consistently saying sort of negative things about her dad, who she loved. They were like this, tight as could be, and she loved him. And then in addition to sort of hearing them talk about things in front of her that they likely shouldn't have talked about in front of her, sort of penetrating, just her thoughts about her dad, another thing she shared with me is that she would sit at the window because Daddy said he'd be there at 2. And 2 o'clock would come and he wouldn't. And 2:15 would roll around and he wouldn't. And 2:30 would roll around and he wasn't there. And 3 o'clock would roll around and Mom said, you need to get your butt out that window, girl. You know he ain't coming. You know he ain't no good. You know he'll never do nothing he says he's gonna do. He ain't nothing but a dog. And so she'd hear it, and she'd hear it, and she'd wait, and she'd wait, and she'd wait. And he would come. Some days he did. But more and more and more, he didn't come. So she's sitting there and she's waiting. Can y'all see her waiting? So she's sitting there and she's waiting and she's looking and she's hoping and she's praying that he's gonna hold on to what he said. But all those wonderful things that Daddy said when she was a little bitty girl sort of started to fade away because they were being covered by, he ain't no good, he ain't gonna show up, he'll never do nothing he says. You need to take care of yourself. You're not worthy of love, obviously, because he ain't showed up. You're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, you're not cute enough, you're not smart enough. And all those things, all those beliefs, thoughts, and attitudes penetrate what we call her life. Her paradigm. So now let's fast forward. The successful little chemist that I told you about, the cute little tiny thing running around doing amazing things at the university, could absolutely never get the one thing she wanted, the one thing she thought she wanted, was marriage. A successful marriage. And after we talked a little bit about how she thought about herself and what she thought about men, and when she was with them, what are some of the things that happened when they would disappoint her? Or if you say, baby, I'll be there at 6 o'clock, but he don't show up to 7 o'clock. What do you think triggered in her head? He ain't gonna show up. He ain't no good. All men are dogs. All men are dogs. Now, how many of y'all in this room know all men are not dogs? Yes? Right. All right. We have an amazing man right here. We have an amazing man over here. And my brother-in-law who just walked off is super amazing. That's right. So, that's reality. But what happens for us is our paradigms. Those things that Mom and Titi and our aunties and our environment, our cousins tell us, they just become what we think are our truths. What we hold on to as our truths. So that, we all get that, right? What we call those are limiting beliefs. All these beliefs limit you from enjoying your limitless life. I'm going to say that again. all of these negative beliefs, we call them limiting beliefs. They control your results. They show up and they say things like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. There's never enough time. Well, time is infinite. There is always enough time. Well, those are those things that show up in our head that do what? Control how we think, how we behave, and the results we get. Things are good enough just the way they are. Don't need to change. I'm all right. I lived in poverty. Poverty's fun. And so we don't allow our champion to step out and become who we want to be, who we should be, who we were designed to be because of limiting beliefs. But here's what I want for you today. I really want you to escape this danger. I so desperately want you to escape the danger of these limiting beliefs. And I know personally full well how limiting beliefs